So tomorrow is Samhain, Halloween, Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead, followed by All Saints Day and All Souls Day. And in so many places, at least in the Northern Hemisphere around the world on these nights, ancestors were invited back into their homes to join in an annual reunion of remembrance. So houses and paths were illuminated to light the way from the grave and back again and guide the ghosts safely to family and friends who are waiting in welcome. So hence all of our Halloween celebrations in this country. And I just think it's always interesting, roots of words. The words ghost and guest are both derived from the same root, geist, and they were pronounced the same until recently. And so to honor guests with food and treats, and with that I want to say thank you to Danielle and David and Cathie for hosting us on this eve of Halloween, but also to honor our ancestors. And I always like to honor our ancestors for each one of us, for the Salish and Chinook who lived here before us on this land. And then there was a woman that I met this last week that I invited to bring, come read as a treat to others, read a poem for a treat. A couple people, I'm looking at Carol. On Friday we had the experience of hearing a well-known Zen hospice founder, Frank Ostesky, share reflections from his new book, The 5 Invitations. And so I recommend that book to you. He really speaks of the preciousness of life and honoring the seasons of life and death, and particularly now in autumn, and given our national background of what's happening, we feel that ache of autumn, and we remember how precious our lives are. And each one of you, thank you for being here tonight. And thank you for Judy Rose, who will offer Native American flute and lift up the spoken word. I'm very grateful. Carved of cedar. According to one Corvidae myth, it was Crow, not Raven, who brought light to the people. Open a carved wooden box, a cedar box. Tell the truth with transformation masks. Forget about duality, light, dark, good, evil. Count backwards and you will fall asleep. Remember the light is in the crow feathers. The colors of snowflake obsidian, black and white fine line geometric designs. Light isn't trapped. It is held, the ancestors say. So cherish the shiny silver bracelet you carried to me at the gathering, the one carved with Celtic and Tlingit designs. Slip the phosphorescence into the water at dusk. In the sea, the phosphorescence is a sky shimmering mountains in my hands. Release the story. You brought light to the people. The cedar box is open and I'm walking home late in the evening, as if you had just flown overhead. And the bracelet on my wrist takes the shape of your black wings, like desires still to be named. White wings. Lying on the warm October earth, facing south, I hold still as hundreds of geese and swans fly directly overhead. When even a small movement, like the turning of my head, causes them to bank sharply, turn. Today the swans sound like bugles, trumpets, announcing their arrival with an elegant brassy call. Spirits of the place, shifting leaves, wind. The small titmice, flat-capped chickadee, eat seeds, small insects nearby. I read about losing, finding, being lost in this life. Then I feel the wing beats in my heart, like drums when the marching band goes by, accompanied by whistling, wing feathers in wind, Canadian geese, tundra swans, trumpeter swans, a dozen sandhill cranes, the rustling of the spotted towhee and the wild rose, dry oak leaves. I feel the heartbeat of the earth, the wing beats in my bones. And gunshot hunter, red Pendleton wool hat, cry of great blue heron disturbed, gunshot in Afghanistan, wail of his mother. And tonight we remember gunshots in Pittsburgh, wailing of many mothers. I lean against the enormous white oak, waiting, the whistling again from a distance, closer. I wait until I can hear them overhead, open my eyes, close them, feel the wing beats in my chest cavity, a pounding, even rhythm, white wings rising into the cerulean blue sky. Alice volat propis. She flies with her own wings, which was the original motto of the state of Oregon, by the way. Or I was born in Oregon, so I hold that. She flies with her own wings. 3 deer drink from the creek this morning. A woman drank jasmine tea from a gray pottery cup. Transcendence has everything to do with our daily experience. Up north, we hear the sockeye salmon are spawning. Daylight grows shorter. She touched your cheek with her fingertips. Says she saw an angel yesterday in her room. The IV bag of sodium chloride with potassium is almost empty. She says our spiritual path is the most important. A river otter ate part of a trout and fish eggs on the dock this afternoon. Her primary care physician gave her 6 months. The hospice social worker asked if she ate her breakfast. Yes, she says. The angel has wings. A couple more poems from my second book, Snowy Owls, Egrets, and Unexpected Graces. And in this book you'll see I follow the wheel of the year, which is important to me. And Halloween, Samhain, is the midpoint between autumn equinox and winter solstice. And so I invite all of you in this season to take the time to remember what's important to you, to notice how we experience the season, and as poets and writers and hidden writers who are writing quietly in your journals, take time to be in the season and write the season. For I think that the greatest gift of the shadow of death is the challenge to really live our lives fully in the moment. She speaks for the bees. Sweeter than honey, even the drippings from the honeycombs. Psalm 19:10. Mama, what if there were no honeybees? The 6-year-old girl asks inquisitively. Auburn curls at her temples, eyes the color of hostas in late September. She asks again her question about the bees. I'm afraid it would be very sad. The flowers and trees depend on them. We all do. Her voice trails off as she considers how to explain the complex process of pollination to a child. Bees go from honey to flower, transforming nectar into honey. They pollinate our favorite fruit like Honeycrisp apples and Desiree peaches. The girl sticks out her lower lip, the color of pink pearl apples, holds her teddy bear close to her chest, but it hurts when they sting us. Outside the hospital, we watch the bees slowly moving from daisy to dahlia, the late blooming flowers of autumn. The mother with end-stage metastatic breast cancer finds ways to tell her daughter that she was dying now, along with the bees. In June, we had learned over 50,000 bees were found dead outside the outlet mall in Wilsonville. The flowering linden trees in the parking lot sprayed with dinotefuran, a common insecticide. Clumps of dead bees on the sidewalks. Monocrops replacing small diverse farms. Small selection of pollen, malnourished bees, neonicotinoids, pharmaceuticals designed to mimic plant-based nicotine, climate change. The long list of probable causes, not unlike the causes of cancer, no longer an epidemic, pandemic. And yet the bees with iridescent wings, delicate membranes, colonies, queen bees with royal jelly, worker bees, intricate communities, a part of the luminous thread, sunlit honeycombs dripping with ambrosia, the music of thousands of wings. The mother remembers playing Russian composer Rimsky-Korsakov's Flight of the Bumblebee on her silver flute as she watches the U.S. Secretary of State announce that Syria crossed global lines, red lines. She closes her eyes with the painful news clips, the clumps of dead bodies on the sidewalks. This afternoon she drinks tea with hibiscus, chamomile, peppermint, and rose petals, wishing she had enough breath to play her flute. Winces. Thousands of civilians are found dead with neurotoxic symptoms. How would anyone gas their people with sarin or any chemical weapon? How would a military intervention not impact all the children of the world? Neither our country nor our conscience can afford the cost of silence, the diplomat continues. What about the destruction of the environment by our chemicals? She asks questions while her daughter sleeps, wrapped in a soft floral blanket. Do bees have a sense of righteous anger about colony collapse? Do they understand how sweet the laws of nature? Or are they simply in deep grief as they hum another requiem? She pauses. I don't think that bees use expletives, she says. If they did, what would they tell us? This was a prose poem, and I have more prose poems in Snowy Owls. And it comes in part from, we have dear friends in the Islamic community who are at the local mosque, and within the Quran, it speaks of the language of birds. And also in the Quran, there's a lot of teachings about nature that I really honor and respect from our Muslim sisters and brothers. And that's part of why I chose this, to remember that we're all connected. The language of birds, Scorpio new moon. Congas, low whistle, gourd, bass guitar, Native American flute in the key of G. She's said to look for your soul in the long lines of dreams, a flute underneath your voice, slim veil of crescent moon, shadows within shadows, light unto light, look through the darkness, The jasmine flowers unbelievably still blooming. Sweet potato pie, watercolor blocks, the increase in volume, healing. The language of birds is a symbolic one. We have been taught the language of birds, and all favors have been showered upon us. When you listen, you will go far on your journey, even when the sky is clouded and still, a thin pencil line of geese in the distance. She says each of us brings our shadow, the reflection of our own self, forgiveness, remembrance. Sepia blends with deep green to sienna, like the sound of your voice, the lyrics of your family tree. Let dreams hold the shuffle of hammered dulcimer, clarinet backing vocals. One song gives you more light, and hope melts inside us as saffron beads soften in basmati rice. My closing poem will be the poem that Christopher Luna kindly shared during our celebration of Poet Laureate. Red-shouldered hawk, healing circles.
Hey Maria, have you ever seen this before?
Red-shouldered hawk circles overhead, over the meadow, Topaz Creek. She says, whatever your need for healing, the world has need too. The polar caps, glaciers melting, earthquake, volcano, tsunami, pandemic of cancer, autoimmune disorders, pandemic of violence. She remembers to breathe in a culture of non-breathing. We are holding our breath. The spotted owl waits on the edge of the mixed riparian forest. Write all this down in your dreams slowly. This buteo is very vocal, with distinctive, far-carrying calls. The wood owl with strong resonant hooting, white marks on scapulars. Is there something in your life you want to heal? Is there something?